You've been having this issue, right? How long have you been having this particular issue?
This particular issue,
Mhm.
I'm gonna say like the past few weeks. I haven't had it. It was up until I seen those videos.
Yeah.
Once I saw those videos,
And it's from the same guy or just general videos of like you
no,
getting concerned?
I got it from that same guy. Yeah, I got it from that same guy.
But they normally touch around the same topic, right?
Yeah,
Okay, which is like you're questioning your faith with God because you're not performing to a
yeah,
certain degree, right?
or because of the way I've been living. Yeah,
Yeah, we can do this very concisely. Like I know we talked about this before, and I'm gonna go with like a different approach, still talking with the same like part of the issue. I'm gonna screen share so like everybody can see as well this particular thingy, right? We're just gonna go in Genesis. I believe it's 19. Pretty okay. Here it is. Yeah. Let me know if you can see it.
yeah.
Okay, so just to give you a rundown, the chapter before this, Abraham was notified that God is going to judge Sodom and Gomorrah personally, and so the next chapter, this is how it unfolds. So Lot is going to be approached by the two angels that were accompanying God before they entered Abraham's abode, which is another way for saying house. The reason why this is important is because God is actually proving a point here, where he goes. Actually, let's go to the chapter before this one in 18. This conversation that Abraham and God has, Abraham is concerned for his nephew Lot. So that's the relevancy for 19. Abraham asked God, "Is it fair for you to be a just God to judge the wicked with the righteous?" So, in the eyes of God, he sees us as righteous. However, when we look at ourselves or the things we do, sometimes that view gets skewed because of the things we do. So this is exactly what you're struggling with right now. Let me pull this up real quick. The error that really stems out from this line of thinking is like when you look at the things you do, it doesn't qualify anything besides what was already stated previously. So throughout the Old Testament, God says that because of your sins, you will die because the wages of sin is death. And there's like different senses of death, but essentially, you deserve to die at some capacity. And this is where Christ comes into the picture. And so, get provided with salvation, and all of a sudden you sin in some shape or form, whether through action or thought. Now you're in this jeopardized state, like, okay, I just sinned. I'm not living for God as I want to, idealistically speaking. And the reason why you're thinking that is because you're basing on your performance. Well, while God is only guaranteeing you salvation. Once you receive it, you're kind of like looking for another reason to discount what God has provided and said through his word, right? And so we're going to go in the Old Testament that was always the case. When God declares you righteous and by his standard, not ours, nothing can change that. So we're going to use law as an example, okay? Let's go with this conversation. Here it is. I will go down now, this is God speaking, and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is, come unto me. And if not, I will know. And the man turned their faces from thence and went towards Sodom, but Abraham stood yet before the Lord. And this is the part where Ray asked this question. Let me change this real quick. Notice that the dimensions are kind of weird. Anyways, and Abraham drew near and said, "Will thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked?" Because a couple of chapters beforehand, I would say like 5 or 6 chapters beforehand, Lot received this part of the land, which happens to be in Sodom and Gomorrah, where Abraham inherited the rest that God promised through with the covenant. And so Abraham knows that there are some righteous people there, including Lot, and he's concerned that he'll die alongside with Sodom and Gomorrah. Let's see how the conversation goes out. Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Will thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked. So what Abraham is essentially saying here is like, it would not be a fair and righteous thing to do to judge people for the sins of somebody else. And Abraham is actually correct in doing this. So they first start off with 50 people. And since Abraham knows the condition of this city, they started with 50 and talked all the way down to 10. You can spare, like, let's put this in perspective. You can spare the population of the New York State with how condensed it is just because of the righteousness of 10 people. That speaks in volumes. And so rather than God saying, of course now I'm not going to judge the righteous with the wicked, he's actually going to do so by his actions. So if we scroll down a little bit further, right, which they talk away to 10 down. Oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak yet but this once, pre-adventure, 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. And the Lord went his way as soon as he had left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned onto his place. So they just left it like that. I will spare this whole city for 10 people's sake. So let's see how that actually plays out in the next chapter. And there came two angels and to Sodom and Eve, and at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, Behold, now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early and go on your ways. And they said, Nay. Now, he's thinking that the angels are coming to stay over because he's sensing that they're coming from God, but they're only coming here to warn him for this particular reason, right? Nay, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him and entered into his house. And he made them a feast and did baked unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house around. So essentially, all the inhabitants of this city surrounded Lot's house, knowing that they have foreigners within this house, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot and said unto him, Where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, and we may know them. So other translations basically is them demanding them to have sexual relations. That's important because the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah is so great that they have like a customary that every time somebody comes in, and in order to become a man, they will have to have their way with them, and then they become a natural citizen of the city. So that's like the surrounding context with this. So they basically want to violate these angels in a sense. And Lot went out at the door unto them, shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have 2 daughters, which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as it is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing. So essentially, Lot is bartering here. Hey, instead of you having sexual relations with the angels, let me give you my 2 virgin daughters instead, and you can do whatever you want for them. Now, my question is to you. Is that a righteous thing to do, yes or no?
No.
Okay. So that's a given. Despite God, previous chapters beforehand, declaring Lot and Abraham righteous, Lot here is doing something that is not righteous, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, you would expect Lot to die with Sodom and Gomorrah, correct?
Yeah.
Hey, just a quick message before we get right back into the video. If you want to see the long form version of this particular content with weeks or months in advance, you can go ahead into my Patreon. For just as little as $1 a month, you have access to all these videos that are just playing ahead of time, whether it be unlisted videos as well, long form content, or really things that are not on the main YouTube channel. You have access to all this stuff as well as this book that I've been compiling the last late year of 2024. It's really just a accumulation of the 4 years of study worth. Wow, it's kind of interesting how long it has been, where everything that I've learned in depth with. So if you're like a newcomer or somebody that is a seasoned Christian, there is definitely something in there with about like 550 pages and counting that I'm constantly working on daily. And just in any case, you're not really obligated to help this ministry or support it. The option is there, but in case if you can't, I do ask you in turn to instead share the video, like, comment, get the algorithms out there, because the more exposure, the more people are able to see and hear the really the heart of the gospel, and of course to get the edification of those that are the fellow brothers and sisters within this faith. So I do really appreciate if you decide to support me financially or help me with exposure. I really do appreciate that in advance. So that's everything I really got to say for this. And so let's get right back into the video.
And spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. And when the morning rose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. So all of a sudden, Lot, his wife, and his 2 children are being told by the angels of God to get out of the city. So I just asked you previously, because he did a wicked thing, he's no longer considered righteous, and he's going to die alongside Sodom and Gomorrah. But the angels are telling them otherwise. Let's continue. And while he lingered, the man laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth and sent him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, and he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou and all the plan escape to the mountains, lest thou be consumed. So they're on their way to escape. Let's go scroll a little bit more on. And we're going to look at specifically God saying, I will not destroy until Lot's steps placed in the new place I'm going to send them. Behold, now this city is near to flee onto, and is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. It is not a little one, and my soul shall live. And he said unto him, see, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow the city for which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou become thither. So he's saying, I cannot destroy the city until you're far from here. Which he's heading to Zor. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zor. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zor. So this happened overnight, by the way. He leaves. God is guiding them. He's concerned. He's grabbing all these people. Somewhere along the way, his wife gets turned into salt. That's not really important. His two daughters step into the city. The minute that happens, let's look what happens. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities that which were upon the ground. So this is just to circle back that if you look into your works as evidence that you have or you lost your salvation, obviously you're not going about it in the correct sense. We just saw, and I just asked you a very cut and dry question, is it is a righteous thing to do to offer your two virgin daughters to basically have their way with them as a righteous thing? You said no, and you're right on that. And so what God did here, I did not find 10 righteous people. All I could do was find 4. And even though that I did not find 10, I took them out because my wrath is not set on them. I'm not going to condemn them. This city will stand condemned. And you can see that the building up to the fire, they literally wanted to rape 2 foreigners that was just in Lot's place because of their custom to that specific culture. This is why God is judging them, because they have a whole myriad of sins that they did not want to repent from for generations. And so God guided them out, and he did not cast judgment up until he know for certain that Lot's and his remaining 2 daughters were safe out of his wrath. And he was able to deliver so. So God is actually somebody who says something and doesn't repeat himself. What he does do is says one thing, and then he leads with action. Because everybody can claim anything, but it's another thing to prove something, especially your word. And so God here is showing you through the Old Testament, and it's just as apparent in the New Testament. If you're in good hands of the Son and the Father, like it's spoken in John 10, there is no jeopardization with that. Once you are in good hands with God, you're locked in for good. I would say stop looking into other things apart from what Christ has done on the cross as a valid reason that you're no longer in good standing with God, which is opposite of the case. All what he was concerned about is that you believe as in trust in the promise that he has provided you. All you have to do is ready to receive. That's it. You can deny it or reject it, or you can accept it. There is no in between. There's no other alternative. Now, since you accept it, because obviously from your viewpoint and anybody, no mere mortal can compensate for what they have done. In order for God to be just and loving, he has to deliver punishment. So instead of you receiving that punishment, God takes it upon himself, the full fury and wrath of God in the person of Jesus. So all you have to do is accept that on his behalf, and that's how you're able to be reconciled and be translated into the kingdom of his dear son, which you can find in Colossians 1:13, if I'm not mistaken. Now I'm going to ask you, Alfred, does this make sense where if you start to look at your works, or if you start sinning, you're not discipling yourself, you're not fellowshipping, those are not actual indicators that jeopardize your standing with God, is it?